Good morning, everyone. This is Saturday, the 15th of November. Universal Mind Radio, in conjunction with Wolf Spirit Radio, would like to present Frank Jordan. He is accompanied this morning by the Earth Mind Healers Group. Frank, your intention today is to release and ease the stress of Mother Earth from land, sea, climate, and man-made changes. Is that right?
That's right.
You're from Boise, Idaho, and you've been an empathic intuitive for many years. What exactly is an empathic intuitive?
Well, we know things without really understanding how we know it. And we have to relate that to everyday world activity and our past. So it's kind of a unique state of being hung in between worlds and trying to not really understanding what the future world is, and also trying to understand the past world as it's been and all of the functions of our commonality, and right in the middle, in this moment of now, between in the 0 point of the future and the past, trying to make sense of everything and help everyone possible to come to higher understanding of our progression and where we're going. So it's difficult to try to explain what an empath is, except they feel everything. They can tune into anything, and then we have to make sense of it on the human realm. And it isn't always that easy. So we do the best we can with what we have to work with.
Well, I have been reviewing your website here, and it says that you're also in direct contact with galactic beings who are guiding Earth's transition into the fourth and fifth dimensions. For those who don't know, what are these dimensions?
Well, humans that are here on Earth are now at this period are the fifth wave of humanoids or humans that have inhabited the planet over the last several million years, and we did exist with the dinosaurs, and not a very large colony, but enough that some not fossil records, but archaeological records have been found to indicate that, and other antique archaeological things down through the millions of years that are found in places where they just simply can't be. Like 300 feet under the surface of the earth in a coal mine. Well, how does that happen? And so, anyway, in this fifth realm that we are in, we're at the end of an age, and I'll talk about this maybe later. But go ahead and finish your introduction if you'd like.
Okay, well, if people would like more information on Frank, he does have a website, www.psitronics.com. That's psi-tronics.com, psitronics.com. That dash is very important in there. And if you would like personal healings with Frank, he can help you over the phone or over Skype. His phone number, 208-344-9188. And you can also reach him by email, flJordan@cableone.net. Frank, I'll give the show over to you this morning.
All right. Thank you, Joan. Well, I always go to the computer and look at what's happening around the world just before the show. And the earthquakes we have some unusual things, events popping up in unusual places. And generally the stress areas are about the same as they always are. Subduction zone activity, creating volcanic stress and eruptions and things. So we'll work with relieving that. The weather patterns are just gone completely out of order. So we'll devote attention to that to try to bring things back to stability again. And I've said many times before, the Earth responses, Earth and the weather, it is a living consciousness. Earth is a living being having a chakra system just like we are. And when everything, when its three orbs of three-dimensional reality are in balance and all harmonized, we have an ongoing reality is usually beneficial to life forms. But when things get disturbed, when there's any imbalance, not only just in one area, but globally, such as we're having now, in the stress of the world financial situation, it tends to disrupt the Earth mind itself, and it tries to adjust that. It tries to balance the stress, and it does it by releasing a lot of energy through the adverse weather patterns, or earthquakes, or typhoons, or hurricanes, and things of that nature. So we can usually pinpoint pretty much where large stress areas are because of what is occurring either in that locality in weather, or downwind from it, so to speak. It doesn't just affect one place. It can affect many places where around stress centers. And right now it's worldwide. So, plus we have our astrological influences constantly that we have learned how to observe and monitor and relate that to how we're feeling and what we're experiencing and what's going on. So, Mike, what's happening in the astrological world today?
All right. Well, here's a summary. Then I'll talk briefly about some heliocentric aspects that we see. We don't always look at helio, which is an alternate view from geo. But all right, a potentially spacey, confusing day. We may want to tend to practical matters and to see things in simple terms, but the day's energies tend to blur boundaries. Definitions elude us. Neptune turns direct today, so station direct Neptune. Neptune would be a planet of, it's kind of watery, it's ambiguous, tends toward illusion and deception. Neptune turns direct today as it does once a year, and we are more inclined to chase and have faith in our dreams. The moon is in Leo until 2 a.m. Eastern. We had a void of course moon until 2:08 a.m. Eastern today, but it's no longer void, and we have the Neptune station. If I look at the heliocentric big planet aspects, we do have Saturn within 5 degrees of changing sign into Sagittarius. So the planetary energies tend to be enhanced or strengthened in the last few degrees of a sign, 30 degrees per sign. So, and of course Saturn would be a planet of frustration, conflict, things of that nature. Sagittarius would be a positive sign. We'll have to see how that energy works out. And with Neptune turning direct, it's Neptune is square Venus today. So that would be kind of a conflicting head-butting with a planet of love and benevolence. So we have deception, combined with conflict against love and beneficial energy. So that's what I see today.
Well, just don't talk to your mate today and you'll be fine.
There you go. Just watch football all day.
Exactly. KiMarie, on the world stage, on the financial situation, can you give us an update there? That I think this is what's causing most of the stress in the world. What do you think?
Can you hear me, Frank?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that it's starting to become visible for people that are paying attention now, that the interweaving and the alliances and the working together in unity for a similar cause, which is humanity's future of peace and wealth redistribution, it's starting to become visible, and it is way past the point of being able to be interfered with. So we are really looking at moving into a time of celebration and security and protection, and knowing that we have forever been a family connected, and that energy on all levels is what we're going to be exchanging and working with in this new paradigm that we're going into. What we know to be money will cease to be the false god as we've always known and understood it to be and were born into. The curse of eternal purgatory is ended. The truth is getting ready to be revealed. We're going to find out who all the players are in a very short order. And so just hold your compassion high, hold your level of deep knowing, of interconnectedness, and know that all the children, are, we're coming home.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's a comforting thought, because if we read the articles on the internet that are about the financial structure of the world, it looks like we're going into utter chaos. But underneath that, in the dynamics of people thinking and listening to consciousness and trying to create a workable order out of the chaos that we descended to in the financial world, there is hope. And this is where we come in also with our group and through Wolf Spirit Radio, through the unified field of consciousness of the group mind that we've become. 100 people can have an effect. 1,000 people can have a tremendous effect, and 1,000,000 people could tip the consciousness into the field of a positive realm of dominion, to where everyone will be working in conjunction with everyone else and creating the new world reality. I don't like to say the New World Order, because that's the byline used by the force that is in direct opposition to what we're doing.
Frank, what it really is a new world agreement. There is enough of us now that are agreeing and in line with that the heart has always been and will in the future be the value, the exchange, the resonance, the knowing, that which builds and creates. It's always been the heart. We're going back to basics. And everyone knows what that feels like. It resonates with you. So anyone that's trying to separate now, it's a lower frequency. Anyone that's trying to unite, it becomes a resonance. We resonate with that. And that's the value. We're starting to see the fifth dimension, heaven on earth here in this realm. Because we've raised the quantum field of the great feminine up high enough that we're now dancing in that top realm of the fourth dimension.
And more importantly, that resonance that we're creating, as I've said many times, that we are creating the fourth dimension through raising our frequencies and our projections forward into the future through desire and will is what is attracting the forces of higher consciousness that will bring that into form. And this is in directly moving out of the old domination field, which is primarily ruled by the lower half of our chakra system in the survival consciousness of our primal humans. We've been evolving slowly up through the chakra system to the point now to where we can take that great leap forward between the third dimensional physical reality into the fourth dimension, which is a manifestation of our creation, and we are creating it. We're responsible for that. But in order to do that, we need to release the old forms that are held in earth mind in the Akashic records, and that being the silicon dioxide of the surface of the earth, the 68% silicon dioxide that holds absolutely every frequency of energy that's ever been expressed or manifested by any living creature on earth having DNA. And that consciousness, that life consciousness, is held in the earth mind, and that is what expresses as instinctive consciousness up through the low self that helps to hold the form of all creatures, not only in manifestation, but in how they think or act or automatically create their reality. It's just an ongoing process of instinctive manifestation through the
Frank.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm impulsed to share this. I love what you're sharing about, but I need to insert this as for consideration. We are moving into a time of the feminine, which is the receptivity. So I might suggest that we actually begin the process of expanding and receiving rather than releasing. We've been giving so much of our energy. Our energy has been harvested. It's been absolutely taken from us. We are the innocent children who've been raped, who have been taken advantage of. It's time now that we actually hold our hands out and we start receiving. We must practice and learn that piece of it instead of giving and releasing and releasing. You know what I mean? We need to just bring it in and hold it. Hold it.
Absolutely. The releasing is what's breaking the form of the old reality, so that as we create, and manifest with our intent, the new reality, we reach for and are receptive to in the feminine, the manifestation, because manifestation does come through the feminine, the earth mind consciousness of the female polarity of earth, as it's held in abeyance between the earth mind, feminine consciousness, and the oversoul higher consciousness of the opposition, the positive polarity, which is the sun and the galaxy and everything that has consciousness in the galaxy. And so
on the day-to-day realm, on the micro, what I'm noticing, just to kind of share this with anyone in case anyone else is feeling this, Frank, so we can weave this into the paradigm, because we're grounded while we're going through this. And that is, before my identity had an ego and was concerned about survival, there were foods and there were things that I liked doing that I'm noticing I'm being driven to do again right now. I'm eating citrus fruits. Like I grew up on eating, in my tree house was in a fruit tree, right? And I'm eating bacon and I'm having biscuits and gravy and all those things that as a child I loved and I held so dear. And that's what the world meant to me, right? How we take on those unconscious sort of comfort blankets. And I'm noticing that that's part of me remembering and relearning how to receive is just those little things. I'm not worried about the biscuits and gravy going to my hips right now. I'm just enjoying it like the child that I was once before I had to go into the survival and grow up and be an adult and pay taxes and worry about everything, right? So I'm just letting you know that's what's happening for me. And I don't know, if anyone else can share what's happening with them, but I just suggest be that as much expanded child that you can recall and receive that child in and weave it into your network.
Well, that network is exactly what we are speaking of, in that our network of consciousness in Wolf Spirit Radio and in cooperation with all the other beings and groups around the world that are holding the common goal, which is rising intuitively from us as guided by the galactic flow. The lift of consciousness that we resonate, that we inspire, and as we work within these meditations, go directly into, like a womb, the golden grid of consciousness that we've created around the world as a shield to protect Earth, is also symbolic of the womb of Earth maturing into the new higher dimension of consciousness, the fourth dimension, as we transcend on into the fifth. Now, that womb is actually a functional thing that the scientists are commenting on how solar flares can approach and come in that normally would have affected Earth and caused a lot of chaos, because we, with our intent, have created this grid of consciousness around the world. It diverts those flows, and they haven't been causing any problems for some time now. And the comments scientists have commented on that, and also they've commented on how they expected a lot more earthquake activity and through different periods here that have not occurred, particularly in places where we put our attention and divert it away by pulling that energy that's building up stress in Earth, in the crustal plates, lifting that energy and converting it into the golden grid, the womb of Earth. And that protective shield is just like the placental field around a baby. It allows it to grow and evolve and be protected. So that's what we're looking at and what we're creating.
And can we attach the vision of the concentration on the earthquakes can we liken it to activating the DNA of the great-grandmother spirit? Rather than us thinking about it being something dangerous for humanity, maybe we can remember that activation is, is a spark, is a shift, is an earthquake can be activation.
Yeah, that's exactly right on. As we do our meditations, as we take our awareness deep within ourselves, right into the cellular structure, with our intent and our desire and our need, we're stimulating the DNA. Because the DNA in the evolutionary process only changes in response to need, to some shift or something in the environment that prompts that organism to need a different physical, spiritual manifestation of reality to survive. And so our survival is dependent on not only stimulating our current DNA to its full capacity, but to stimulating the other strands of DNA that are called junk DNA in our cells now. We're pulling those together and creating a unified force of consciousness through our group mind that is making change, is causing even the shifts in the financial structure. But we have to understand and know where we're going, just like an animal fleeing away from a fire in the forest, for example. It needs to know that it's going to a place of safety where there is no fire, where it can continue its growth and evolutionary process. And that's what we're doing. We have to know we're moving into the fourth dimension where there will be no governments. There will be no laws as we know them now. There will be no aging. In the fourth dimension, we will have enough access to our DNA and we're doing that right now. In the group that have been listening to our meditations, I lead you into a process of reversing aging. And myself is a good example of that. I'm youthening. And others who are doing that are feeling the same response. So this is the progression we're moving into, is understanding how to create our reality instead of being subjective to it. So let's do that now. Let's go ahead and step into our meditation unless someone else has some other thoughts you'd like to contribute. If not, we always access the subconscious, the unconscious, through a process I learned that actually was given me by Sri Aurobindo of how to access our deep inner consciousness. And you don't do it just by going into a shallow level of meditation like most people do when they meditate, just simply trying to shut off the frontal lobes of activity. And the factor here is that you are your controlling aspect, your point of soul is where you have your awareness. Where you have your awareness is where your soul focus is. And the primary center for the soul is just behind the frontal lobes of the brain, and just before you get to the psychic center, and on the back deeper into the subconscious mind. So the soul has access to the computer, our biocomputer, which is our brain, and it cooperates, or actually directs through intent, desire, and need. Here we're back to the DNA and choice, need again. It is what draws information from the hard disk of the biocomputer of the human body. And through the biocomputer, through the hard disk, we can reach out through the vibraports and access energy anywhere, information. And that's brought into our system through vibraports. And when we put our point of attention on anything require or ask in our mind, that information rises up through the system if you have clarity. And clarity is what I stress. Clear, clear, clear. That's why we clear and let go of every encumbrance that we've encountered in the past as a survival mechanism. Because we're creating a new force and level of consciousness now, looking forward as manifestors without the inhibition and limitation of everything that we've done or been or experienced before. And we can draw on the good positive things of the past, the base structure of our reality, but we don't want to bring forward through the 0 point anything that would be acknowledging a limiting factor in us in any way, shape, or form. So let's begin our meditation now. Take your awareness up into your forehead, in the frontal lobes of your brain, and you'll notice that you're still connected in everything in the conscious mental realm out there. You're just sitting in your chair in front of your computers. But now take a step further back, just one step back into the soul center. This is the I am of consciousness, the God force consciousness that's individualized as your particular bit of I am. And notice how as you turn inward, you shut off all that exterior stuff. And that's what we want, is to empower our point of consciousness, our I am, our will, to be in charge of this reality, not subjective to it. And we can extend that point of consciousness laterally out to the other members of the World Meditation Group, and on through Wolf Spirit Radio, by attenuation to everyone listening or anyone who listens to this program in the future. You can do exactly the same thing, no time or space. It's a continual standing wave that will remain in form that you can utilize in your lives. Now take another step further back. Just moving your point of attention back deep in your head to the pineal area. And this is the psychic center. This is where we can individualize our point of attention on anything, anywhere, and tune into it through the subconscious. It's being delivered up through the subtle energy field into that center, the psychic center. And as we focus on that, anything there, our soul directs that energy up into the frontal lobes of the brain, where it's extrapolated as information or knowing or visualization or even physical things from the body like auditory, sensory impulses and energy. But we won't spend much time there because that's to be done in your private explorations. Now move a step further back, deeper. Just relax back deeper. And you feel yourself not only enclosing deep within the point of awareness that you are, but you feel an expansion because you've moved into the deeper levels of the subconscious mind, into the pathways and channels that accumulate energy from the chakra system, information, and deliver it to the brain. It is a sub-awareness of who you are. And it's a very subjective thing. It just does what you ask of it, what you require. It will manifest or bring forward. And the beauty of it is it does not know time or space. The subconscious thinks that everything that has ever happened to you is happening now, because Earth Mind holds the resonance, the basic memory of everything that ever happened available to the subconscious mind. And so beyond our, when we move out of the frontal lobes and back into these levels, it's almost like time stops. Progression of time stops. And so you're not pushed by stress of anything. It's simply awareness. Now drop your awareness down the spine. And as you move down to the heart center, you come to the 0 point. And the 0 point is what holds the manifestation of the future by passing through standing waves from the past of everything that's held in form. And in the 0 point is where your indwelling soul has the opportunity to make changes, requests, so that it becomes an active creative process rather than just an instinctive recreation process of what's already in form. This is where we, by understanding and choice, create our reality instead of being subjected to that has been held and created in the past. So everything we do, manifestation comes back to this point. Now drop your awareness on down the spine to the root chakra. And here you feel yourself expanding downward, reach beyond the root chakra down into earth mind that I talked about before, and the living consciousness of earth. And this is what allows us to have access to earth mind, to work directly with the devic forces of consciousness that hold the form of all reality. And their job is just to hold the form, but they do respond to energy, shifts of energy or consciousness, desire and will, by the need of the DNA of whatever creature is under stress. It responds to stress. They respond to stress, and that's our whole point in this dissertation, is this is how we work with the weather fields and the earthquake fields and things that are inversely bringing stress into the earth. It's here through the devas that we communicate and release stress as energy, to take it out of form and restore that energy in the golden grid surrounding the earth as a storehouse of energy and consciousness that we can direct back into the group mind consciousness of earth and humans. Now we want to take our awareness to the earthquake grid now, the ring of fire. So we just move our point of awareness to Southern California. There's a tremendous fracturing there of a subduction zone as well as a lateral plate movement of the Pacific plate moving northward along the American plate. And that is what builds up stress and slippage that causes the earthquakes. So we go into Southern California now, and just put your point of attention there and become one with that level of consciousness. And lift that energy up your spine. You feel it. You feel it, just a pressure, a tingling stimulation. Lifting that energy up your spine through the 0 point, through the crown chakra, through oversoul, and on up into the golden grid, in the ionosphere. It's just a shield of energy around the earth. It's a huge, gigantic thought form. But everything is a thought form. And this is one that we've created in cooperation with guidance from the Galactic Center, working through our own spirit center in conjunction with theirs to manifest a reality form. Let the energy flow up your spines, reaching out and touching instinctively, intuitively, because our instinct tells us where these earthquakes are building up, and intuitively we know how to pull that energy upward. And release it around the world. I checked the solar flares today. We don't have anything that's active that would be affecting us. So we just continue to build the force, the power, the shield around us, visualizing it, imagining it. Because what we create with our minds becomes a reality in some dimension. Now move your awareness northward to San Diego. Continuing the release, the lifting, the clearing. And you felt a shift as we moved into the San Diego, different type of energy. And that's because San Diego is under stress at the present time from the drought in the Southern California area. Lift that stress upward. Lift the stress from every human, every living creature in that drought zone. Lift it upward, release it. That stress becomes a high pressure dome that actually pushes the weather patterns around it. And this is because we do have some moisture patterns that are available. We had a little rain last night, Rachel reports. Lift that stress, and with the relief of all the creatures that are saying that, yes, thank you, Spirit, for the moisture last night, and shifting their need to the need of more moisture, which will in turn will work with the Devic force of consciousness and attract more rain from the Pacific. Shifting the weather patterns. Now we see the weather patterns rotating around, moving into a low counterclockwise pattern as opposed to the clockwise high pressure patterns that is being cleared and released. It's not enough just to move the high pressure inland. We need to clear the stress of the high pressure realms by pulling that energy into the ionosphere and using it in our shields. All right, we extend this all the way up to San Francisco, so all of California and inland from there will receive more moisture this winter. And we project this into the future just simply by being in the 0 point of Earth mind at that point and reaching into the Pacific Ocean, visualizing in the future these patterns coming in. Now we move awareness on up northward along the San Andreas Fault line to San Francisco. The thrust fault always has minor activity, but the objective is to clear any stress buildup up to what would be a 4 point or higher, releasing those energies all the way up to the Oregon border. of California. And then moving our awareness eastward to the Sierra Nevada mountains, stretching the full length of the major subduction zone that is creating the Sierra Nevadas, all the way back south to Las Vegas. And then moving eastward from Las Vegas up that major thrust fault that is the western states, subducting under the plains that created the Rocky Mountains. Lift those energies up through the ancient volcanoes, all the way up to the Yellowstone, where we reached out into the cauldron, reinforce the umbrella, the funnel of energy from the magma of the cauldron, so that the energy is released, the heat is released into the golden grid. And we maintain that as we move our awareness on up to the Canadian line in the Rockies, then to the Pacific Northwest, where there's quite a scattering of minor activity that's caused by the subduction zone of the San Juan de Fuca plate that's creating the volcanoes. So we lift the energy upward through the ancient volcanoes and the active ones. And we allow that to continue as we move our awareness northward to Alaska. Lift the energy of that subduction zone to south central Alaska. And downward along the Aleutian chain to Russia. A couple of big ones in the Kamchatka Trench leading to the Japan Trench off of Japan. Lift those upward. And those, the activity along the trench and inland from there. Lift that upward, incorporating in a spiral of energy, a cyclone of energy, the radioactive energy being released by the reactors. And we move southward now to the Philippines. There is a major 7.1 Narkota Ternate, Indonesia. We lift that upward. And on down into Indonesia through the Java Trench, which borders all the southern islands of Indonesia, clear up into Myanmar. I move eastward to New Guinea. There's a 5-0 at Ambunti, New Guinea. Then eastward to the main primary fault line that runs through the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and then back around to Fiji, where it impacts into the Tonga Trench. Most of these are underwater. Lift the energy upward. New Zealand seems to be clear for the moment. Now we move eastward to South America and to Bolivia, where there's some 5-0s at Chuquitera along the Peru-Chile Trench to the entire length of South America. We lift that subduction zone energy up through the ancient volcanoes. And northward, all the way to Central America, ongoing volcanic activity and plate activity. And eastward to the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico. Now eastward to the Mediterranean area, and then northward to Iceland, and the ongoing activity of that volcano there, lifting and clearing that, and also pulling the stress away from the huge volcano that sits next to it, the one that caused the Ice Age in the 1500s, I think it was. Now back into the Mediterranean, activity close to Athens, Luxurian, down to Cyprus. There's always minor activity in that region, but they can get quite strong. Now to the Zagros Mountains in Iran. And then northeast to Afghanistan. There's a series of small to medium activity all the way up through Kyrgyzstan and into the western plateau of Tibet. Now eastward through China, no current activity. We come cross into the Pacific to the Hawaiian Islands, where there's some strange activity going on, unusual activity under the Kilauea volcano and out in a new vent to the south. Release those energies so they don't build up into a destructive mode. Now we move eastward back to our point of beginning and to the central United States and Oklahoma. Unusual ongoing activity of the fracking zones there all the way through, including Arkansas and Missouri, releasing the energy from the New Delhi fault in Missouri. New Madras fault is what I'm speaking of. I just caught a lot of energy there. Now bring your awareness back to our point of beginning. And we lift our awareness up into the human plane of consciousness and bring our awareness back into the soul center. And we reach out into the soul center of the world grid of consciousness, the soul grid, the commonality of all humans. And we unify through intent, desire, and will. It's like sending a wave of unconditional love to everyone to be understanding and in dominion, nurturing, caring, putting our attention laterally into creating and manifesting, to release our intent, our energies, our labors, to helping mankind in general, and withdrawing energy from the pyramid of the corporate structure that takes all funds to the top and where the power all comes back down through the pyramid to the very lowest echelons where there is no power. But we do have the power. Unified human consciousness has the power to simply refuse to sustain that grid of negative consciousness that was created, that holds the form of the stress in our world at this time. So in group mind, human consciousness, release the stress, the need to support the corporations, the people of power and money and wealth. Instead, turning our attention, our need, to creating a new form, a new reality, a new world reality of dominion. We do that by extending unconditional love through the lateral grid of consciousness. And we shift the attention voice of humans away from survival to abundance. Abundance being freeing us from the concerns and the stress that create the negative conditions. Because fear becomes a creative force in itself unless it's neutralized by positive intent and creativity. And you feel that expand around the world, mutual support and understanding. You see the financial structure coming into balance. Even as the dominators struggle to maintain control, we see a new system rising that empowers people instead of dominating people. And we see that clearing the stress from the weather patterns around the world as we drop awareness back into earth mind and the weather patterns. We see the weather patterns coming back into the normal balanced rotation of energies around the world in the hemispheres, sustaining life, nurturing life. And so it is. Extend one more wave of love to each other and around the world and into earth mind. It's just like reaching out and embracing the world in your arms and resonating love from the heart, which is actually creating that condition in the 0 point. And as we embrace earth with our arms, our unified field of consciousness, Earth mind responds to its 0 point, its consciousness, to help release the old domination grid and replace it with the nurturing love of the galactic flow and the sun. And feel Mother Earth respond. Feel your chakras, your root chakra open up. And so it is. All right, we will be back here. Today is Saturday. We'll be back Sunday evening at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And we'll have an hour of discussion and class and sharing as to how to further empower what we've created. And then we'll have an hour of healing. But we never know exactly how these programs are going to go. Sometimes the galactic flow comes in, which is our ascended master speaking to us, and with direct information, or with tones of energy that affect our systems. And we always welcome the tones because those are constantly at work affecting the world. And particularly through Rachel's use of the light language, we have communication with the higher galactic consciousnesses and other beings. So, does anyone have any comments? We're about ready to wrap it up here.
Frank, thank you so much for today's show. If anyone in our listening audience would like to know more about Frank, you can go to his website at www.psitronics.com, psi-tronics.com. His phone number, 208-344-9188. I'm looking very forward to your Sunday evening show at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And at that time, you usually lead us through a delicious guided meditation, which I always look forward to. So thank you, Frank, for your program this morning.
Thank you. Over to Dent now.
Okay. That's it.
Gary, I'm sorry.
You already put a dent in my ego when you said that.
Well, I was looking at Dent's picture when I said that, so I apologize for my right brain.
This is Universal Mind Radio signing off until tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.